When is the right time to raise your first round of funding? This is such a critical decision because getting the timing wrong can derail your fundraising and stall your startup's growth. So if you raise too early, you risk spending months pitching without enough traction to convince investors. If you raise too late, you might run out of cash or lose momentum. So let's talk through what the right timing actually looks like. So when you think about raising your first round, the first thing you need is to understand what investors are actually buying. They're not just buying your idea. They're buying into you and the proof that the problem is worth solving, proof that you can execute, proof that customers actually want what you're building, proof that there's a market big enough to scale into. So let's start with your product. At a minimum, you should have an MVP or minimum viable product, wireframes or prototype. Very few investors will write a check based on only an idea or a pitch deck. They want to see that there's something tangible, something that demonstrates that you can build. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be fully launched or at scale, but you do need something real. And next comes your traction. So this is where most founders stumble. Traction doesn't have to mean millions in revenue, but you do need clear signals that customers care, and that could be early revenue, customer wait lists, strong retention data, or even signed letters of intent. What matters is showing that your solution solves a problem people are willing to pay for. Now let's talk about the size of the opportunity, because investors aren't just looking for nice businesses. They're looking for moonshots. That means your company has to show potential for 100 million or more in revenue with a 5 to 10 year window and exit plan. Now, if your product has a ceiling, say it's really only a $20 million opportunity, then venture capital probably isn't the right path in case you may want to focus on other forms of capital like grants, pre-selling to customers, debt, or crowdfunding. And here's another factor is your team. Investors know startups are hard and no one person can do it all. If you're a solo founder, that doesn't mean you're doomed, but you do need to demonstrate that you've at least surrounded yourself with some strong advisors, mentors, contractors, or early team that kind of fills your skill gaps. Credibility on your team goes a long way in the fundraising process. And here's one of the biggest mistakes I see is that founders start raising money just because they need money, or it feels like the next best thing to do. They think, I can't scale without capital, so I'll start pitching. But raising money out of desperation almost never works. Investors can smell it a mile away. So the right time to raise is when you found something that's working and you need capital to accelerate and reach certain milestones. You're not raising to survive, you're raising to grow. So if you put this into a simple checklist, the right time to start is you have a product that expands beyond your MVP. You've proven customer demand, even at an early stage. That could be revenue signups, waitlist, or user data. You validated that the market is large enough for venture scale, and you have a credible founding team or backers and support in place. You have a clear plan for how the capital will multiply growth, not just cover expenses. So if you can confidently check those boxes, then it's time to raise. But if you're missing 2 or 3 of them, you might be better off waiting. There are plenty of other ways to fund your business in the meantime, from bootstrapping through revenue or pre-sales, applying for corporate grants, or even using customer pre-sales or debt. These options give you time and help you reach the point where your raise will actually succeed. Because remember, fundraising isn't just about convincing investors to believe in you. It's about showing them enough proof that investing feels like the obvious choice and they're backing something that's already working. So to answer the question, when is the right time to raise your first round? It's not a date on the calendar. It's when you've put the milestones in place that you're ready for. With proof, you've got traction, you've got a clear path to scale, because there's never a perfect or right time to raise. Build relationships with investors before you need them. Raise from investors if and only if you want to exit the business, exceed high growth standards, get strategic intros that would be hard for you to get on your own, and reach a certain milestone can't do quickly enough with your own sales. Raising money isn't the finish line, it's just the starting point. The capital you raise will only help if you've already built a foundation along the way and big enough to grow. So take the time to get that foundation right and don't rush into raising just because everyone else is doing it. Wait until you can raise from a position of strength, not desperation. I've helped founders raise multi-millions in capital and want to share what it really takes to be a fundable founder. So follow me for more funding insights to help you secure the right capital at the right time for your startup.